Happy Sabbath to all of you. And I think Sabbath is a day that we always look forward to. It's special. It's a time that we can spend with our Lord, and the time that we can spend out in nature and see the beautiful things that He's created for our enjoyment. This story happened on the island of Sumatra, and a missionary and his wife lived in a little hut in the jungle. And the reason they were living in the jungle was because they were working with a native tribe who had a village in the jungle. And some of these people liked the missionaries, and some of them didn't, especially some of the men. They didn't like the fact that people were trying to change their religion, maybe change their beliefs or their culture a little. So on several occasions, groups of men from that village had tried to kill the missionary and his wife, but they had never been successful. But finally they decided they were going to hire a professional killer, a man who was a professional assassin. And he told them that he wasn't afraid of anything. He wasn't afraid of God. He wasn't afraid of the devil. And he would kill this missionary and his wife. And living in the jungle can be pretty scary at night. Sometimes the missionary and his wife would hear wild birds screeching. Other times they knew wild animals like lions were walking around outside their hut. And then on several occasions they had heard voices in the middle of the night, but then the voices had disappeared. And whenever they got afraid at night, they would get their Bibles out and read about God's promises to protect them. And they would pray. And on this particular night, when this band of men with their hired killer was coming toward their coming toward their hut, they could hear the voices. The missionary and his wife could hear the voices off in the distance, and the voices got closer and closer. And finally this man who had been hired to kill them told the other men to wait, and he went toward the yard. When he got close to the yard in front of the hut, he was holding a sword in front of over his head. It suddenly dropped out of his hand. His arm dropped to his side, helpless. He couldn't even move it. And he turned and started running to the men and told them, he said, "Run for your lives." And he was leading the whole group as they were running away from the hut. This was the last time that anybody tried to bother the missionary and his wife. After probably a year or two, they moved more inland to another area where they were working with another tribe of natives who were more friendly, who liked what they had to offer, and so they built a little house there. And one day, a man from the previous village, the first village, came to that village where the missionary and his wife were now living, and he asked if he could talk to the missionary. And the missionary said, "Sure." And the man said to the missionary, "I want to see your guards. Where do you keep your guards?" And the missionary said, "We don't have any guards. We have a little boy that sometimes runs errands for us. We have an older lady who sometimes helps my wife cook and clean, but we don't have any guards." And the man said, "Well, I know you have guards, because several times when we came to kill you and your wife, we saw 2 rows of men in front of your house, and they had swords. They were all holding swords, and those swords looked like they were on fire." And he said, "This is what happened the last time when we hired this man to help us. The same thing. There were 2 rows of men with these fiery swords." And the missionary said, "Well, those weren't guards or soldiers, those were angels." And he said, "My wife and I didn't see the angels because we believe in God and we believe in His promises to protect us, but I know that those were angels." But he said, "The reason God let you see those those men, those angels, is because you don't believe in God and you don't believe in angels. You and I each have a guardian angel. That guardian angel is with us at all times. He also sees everything that we do, and he hears everything that we say. And it's going to be fun when we get to heaven to be able to talk to our guardian angel and find out how many times he may have saved our lives or kept us from getting badly hurt. It's time to take up the love offering for our schools, for our school singular.